Welcome, everybody. It is 5:02. We'll get started. Thank you guys for being here. Um, we will talk about this. Actually, I'm just going to move to the top of the agenda. Um, I was thinking that next month I'd like to go through at the end of this meeting and just talk a little bit about, like, go around the room and who's here and what would you like to pick up if there are any issues that we've not been talking about that you want to talk about for next year. But I'm going to propose that we take December off because, last year, of course, we were in the middle of so many things and Cherry Creek West wrapping and a number of those things. So we didn't. But think about that during this meeting. The fourth Wednesday is actually Christmas Eve. And so I'll bring that back, but please think about that as we go through this meeting. So anyway, welcome everyone. Mary, thanks for joining. She makes us 21. Whoop, whoop. I'm Lou Raiders. I'm your current chair, and we have representatives from all over. We'll do a quick round the room later. Thanks for our guests from the city for being here. And I'll just start by reminding everybody that the video from the last meeting is up on the Cherry Creek North Neighborhood Association website under the Cherry Creek Steering Committee, so you can watch all of those there. And we're using that mechanism right now for our minutes. And so we will go first to the councilwoman since she is here and have her give us updates. And so thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to Councilwoman Sawyer.
Well, thank you, Lou. Hey, everybody. It's so good to see you. Really appreciate you all being here. Want to just first give a shout out to all of the INC members. And Lou, congratulations. You all did a fantastic job. I was so sorry to miss the 50th anniversary gala, but there were a lot of District 5 residents who were honored there. Country Club scheduled their annual meeting for exactly the same time. So I'm sorry that I was not there. To this day, who's on from Country Club? I love you guys. You are the only neighborhood meeting that exists in District 5 that has hors d'oeuvres and a full bar. So, shout out on that one. So a couple of things going on for those of you who voted. I am certain everyone on this call voted. Thank you so much for your support of the Vibrant Denver bonds. This is a really big deal. $950 million in investment across our city, over $30 million of investment in District 5, including almost $6 million at the corner of First and University. That intersection is the project in Cherry Creek. So really excited that will be coming forward, and happy to talk through, all of the five District 5 projects if you want to hear about them. But very, very thrilled that will be moving forward. That's a huge investment in our city, and I'm just really excited about it. So flagging for you that is happening. There's also an open rezoning now in District 5 in Cherry Creek. It's the Cherry Creek dance property. So it's been filed. We cannot talk about it. That is quasi judicial, but I just wanted to flag for you that was filed. So anyone who is interested in finding out more, you should go to the CPD website or talk to the neighborhood association about it. Our office has offered mediation to the developer and a party that where there is a conflict. So we'll see how that goes. But that is as far as it goes for city council office talking about it, because it's a quasi judicial process. So we can't do that. So if you guys want to talk about it, wait till I leave. Um, and right now is everyone's annual meeting time. So I am actually running out the door to Montclair's annual meeting soon. But really excited, to just connect with the neighborhoods and check in with everyone. If you are planning your annual neighborhood meeting and want me to be there, just give my office a shout and let us know. We're happy to do that. couple of things for coming up for 2026. So everyone remember, please take our annual survey, and if you can share the link with your residents in your different neighborhoods, that would be great. As you guys know, we actually use the information that you provide us in that survey all the time, including to kind of create our work plan for the coming year. So we would be really grateful if you could share that link with everyone. I will go find it and put it in the chat after I'm done talking. Um, Cherry Creek East and Cherry Creek North are both going to be impacted by a huge Excel project that is coming. It is going to also impact Hilltop along Ellsworth and South Hilltop. So this is a really big project that is going to take several months. It will impact several months, several years. It will also impact Country Club, but mostly in your ingress and egress. It's going to kind of be to the north of you guys, but it is a massive, massive project that starts at the Leetsdale substation and goes like all the way up and through to downtown. It's good because we need to see that kind of investment out here. It will ensure that people are not losing power, and all of those kinds of things. But it is going to be a huge inconvenience. And so one thing I am a little bit disappointed about is that Excel did not tell us about this. And I think it is going to impact Ellsworth in Cherry Creek East, which is one of the roads that we were going to study in the traffic study next year. We were going to look at Ellsworth and Bayard and kind of the interplay between the two of them, between Steele and Colorado Boulevard. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that now because of that Excel project. So we are waiting for confirmation from them on that. I will be very, very bummed if we can't do it because I was really looking forward to that. But just want to flag that for you all.
Do you think we could get some representative to come to the steering committee in
100%.
January and talk about that?
Yeah, if you would like me to connect you with Grace Lopez Ramirez, she can absolutely come and present on what's going on. They've done a couple of community meetings so far to just sort of give people a general idea of what's going on. And the website itself, I'll see if I can go track that down and put it in the chat as well. It's very comprehensive. It's a huge project. Huge.
If you can't find it right away, if you send it to me later, I will send it out to the group.
Yeah, that would be great. And I would be happy to, if you want me to, connect you to Grace Lopez Ramirez to come and present because I do think that it's going to impact almost everyone on this call in some way or other. And so I think it's going to be really important to do that.
Okay.
In
That
Cherry
would be
Creek
great.
North. Yeah, in Cherry Creek North, they are going to go along fifth to do the work. Originally, they were going to go along third. And that is not going to happen. That is just a terrible idea for lots of reasons. So they will go along fifth, but it's going to be an inconvenience. They're going to connect the Leetsdale substation to the substation in Cherry Creek East. The great news for Cherry Creek East is that there's going to be, I know you guys have been really concerned about the landscaping there and the fact that they just like let miles of weeds grow all over the place. So that has been cleaned up at this point. I do not know what comes next, but I believe they're going to be working in like 2 block segments. So we should have Grace come and brief you guys all on what's going on there because it's
Yeah,
gonna
they need to invest in that Cherry Creek East substation.
100%. Yep.
I built that project right next to it and it was weak then, so it needs investment. So I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
right.
could be a good thing.
Especially if the gateway properties are finally going to develop, which it looks like maybe they are. So, or one or two of them. So, there are plans, there are conversations happening there. Stay tuned for more on that. I do not know if that will be a rezoning or if that's going to be built within the current zoning.
The
But
gateway?
the gateway.
Yeah, we have as the neighbor as the I think it was the Denver Post or it might have been the Gazette said that the properties are subject to a very detailed good neighbor agreement. And I'm like,
Good job, Lou.
yeah, I think I wrote that.
Yeah,
But
for all of you who did not know, Lou wrote that agreement.
so, but that if they try to rezone, I think we'll have different conversations in this group and with Cherry Creek East because Cherry Creek East was very much part of that process as well. So
Yeah.
We expect them to honor what was agreed to and recorded against that property. But thank you for the heads up.
Yeah, so flagging that for you, it looks like they are going to redevelop. I do not know whether they will do it within the current zoning or not. They have been flagged to come to you and have conversations with you about it. That is all I can say because if there is going to be a rezoning that is
Mhm.
coming, it will be quasi judicial, and I can't
I
predict.
think the buyer is PMG, and I think they're also the developer of the Waldorf. And
They
I,
are the developer of the Waldorf. I do not
so
know
we,
that the buyer is PMG.
yeah, and they've been, I went to the Waldorf opening. They've been very kind and respectful now that, that zoning was set. And um, what I heard, and maybe Brooks, if you wanted to weigh in, if you've heard anything else, was they were going to live with it and they were going to do it for the office building. So,
There's
which
one
is in
problem.
that they can do as long as it's not medical office. So,
Yeah,
I
there's
have
one
told them
problem.
to come and have a conversation with you if they decide that they want to do something different and will need to go for a rezoning on that.
Brooks,
There's one problem at the gateway on Bayonne. There different ownerships on each side of the gateway. And of course, the concept was developed by David Triba. And you really need both sides of that to make it work. So we don't know how we get the two to work together.
well,
Yeah,
we'll wait to,
gateway properties are mentioned in the area plan, right? There is some pretty clear conversation in the area plan about what the 2012 Cherry Creek area plan about what the gateway properties should look like, and what they should be like. And I believe it was 2021, so it was a long time ago. And maybe I'm misremembering, but I believe that those very detailed good neighbor agreements um, have some conversation around being gateway properties as well and what the expectations are
yeah.
there.
And we definitely took the area plan into account. So there's nothing in the plan that would be different than what we requested. There are just some limitations on use that addressed concerns that the neighbors had.
So, as I said before, if there is a conversation around doing something different on those properties, they have been flagged to come to you and have a conversation about it.
And we know they have the document because I know Bill Tanner had sent it over to him, but of course they'd get it in the title work anyway, and they did have it. So, so far so good. And so the Cherry Creek East leadership should make sure that if there's any communication about that or they want to sit down and talk about it, we all really work together on that, North and East, really well. A lot of people on this committee. So just flag it and then we'll pick it up. Also, Councilwoman sent around the summary of the I guess the JID recap.
Yep.
And to whom did that go? Did that go to everyone or?
Yeah, it went to everyone. So it was in our newsletter last week. So one of the deliverables that was required from Centro was a kind of a write-up of exactly the information that was uncovered, the sentiment of the residents, all of those different kinds of things. And so that write-up is about 7 pages long, is available. It's on the website, on our website. It was in our newsletter last week. I believe we sent it to everyone, all of the different neighborhood organizations to take a look at as well. If you would like a copy of it, happy to send it to you guys too. But worth taking a look at. I think that Jamie was able to pull some really valuable themes out around kind of what people were able to really coalesce around, so that in the future, if there's a future conversation around, kind of what residents want to see and some funding source to be able to pay for it, then that data is there in public for everybody.
And of course, every time you do this annual survey, it's the sifting of the problems that are identified in the survey that serves as the basis for, okay, here's the issues that the neighborhood or the district sees. What are we going to do about it? So
Right.
it is timely. If anybody didn't get that, you can pull it off Councilwoman Sawyer's website, and hopefully everyone gets it out to all their respective constituents in whatever the best way, put it up on your websites or whatever. But
Yeah, after I'm done talking, I will go get a bunch of links for you guys and put them in the chat so that you have all of this information. So lots going on, but I think all really good things. We all want to see those gateway properties redevelop and stop being vacant land. That's an eyesore, and we want to, we want to see kind of the progress that we have been waiting for in Cherry Creek for a really long time, and some of the investment that we feel like we deserve. So all really good things coming down the pike as we head into the holidays. It's just a crazy time of year. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but otherwise I'll stop talking and let us move on.
any questions for the councilwoman? Thank you. Thank you for being here, for all you do, and happy holidays right back at you since you started with that.
Thanks, guys. I'll still be here. I'm just gonna turn off my camera and go get those links.
Okay. So I will now look to for the updates in Cherry Creek North and Bid and in the mall. So we'll start with Lisa, the Richard stand-in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get myself back on air here. Hi, everybody. I haven't been on in a while, so I just want to say hello and thank you for letting me be Richard tonight. Um, of course, I'm going to have a little bit of a bent in the marketing area. That's my area for the Cherry Creek North, and I kind of spoiled it a little bit by saying when holiday is happening here in Cherry Creek North. We have our giving machines just did their unwrapping, and if you recall that those are the machines that feature five local charities, two international charities, and so they'll be up and open now. And our holiday market opens tomorrow. And basically, we're calling it Cherry Creek North this year. We have a new holiday campaign, and keep your eyes peeled for it because there's a little bit of drama that's involved, and part of that is Alistair Peppermint Twist. He's an elfin lawyer for Santa, and he has a little bit of an issue of us using North Pole, North Pole, and saying that we're the happiest place on earth for the holidays. So again, this year we celebrate our small businesses. We have Saturday Night Lights again on Fillmore between second and third, and it's just a lot of fun. Free hot chocolate and complimentary photo booths and a lot of fun, and that's December 6th, 13th, and 20th. The big extra fun is we're going to have a horse and carriage, so be sure to come on out and get a little ride around the neighborhood with all those million lights kind of twinkling all over. And then Hanukkah. We have a wonderful Hanukkah celebration with the Chabad of Cherry Creek on December 14th. So many things going on. You'll find it all on our website, of course. And with that, we're in planning for next year. So if you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to entertain them. And hope everybody is enjoying what is going to be, I'm sure, a wonderful holiday season and a Thanksgiving.
It is gorgeous down there, and the weather. We just got back from shopping, and of course, Orvis is closing down. And for anybody else who
Yeah.
does outdoor stuff and fishing or hiking or anything else, they have amazing sales. And I'm just so sad to see them go. But
I know. I agree with that, Lou. And just a note, I mean, we're not hiding from all that construction that's going on, and we are out to celebrate it because we're a fabulous district. We are very much, hopefully a very strong community for everybody on the call. We're going to have a lot more wonderful new retail, dining and so forth when a lot of these buildings are finished. So we're trying to help you find your way around, make sure you don't miss all the most affected businesses. And so stay tuned for some funny haha signage that will help everybody navigate.
fabulous. We need Santa out there directing traffic. So maybe
I
you
think
can
you're
get
right.
Santa hats for all the workers.
I think that's a tremendous idea. I'll work on that.
Okay, so thank you for that, and everyone enjoy it. Mike, tell us about because there actually is Santa over at the mall, I think.
There is. Thank you, Lou, for that. I appreciate that. Nice plug, because I was going to talk about that shortly too. So, everyone, I just a couple updates, not a lot going on at the mall. We're just knee deep in holiday, like Lisa said. Just like North, we are really, really busy and really, really excited for the holiday season right now. So, as far as tenant construction goes, unusual year. We've got a lot of tenant construction still going on. This is mainly due to the carryover of how much stuff that we've had getting built out this year. But under construction still is Ash and Agave, probably a Q1 opening. Little Rock, probably, hopefully, right before Christmas opening. IWC and Rolex and each of those two new storefronts, probably early December. Sip Fresh is shooting for early December. And then probably the biggest announcement that I can make today is the new Lululemon expansion space. So they're growing from about 3,000 square feet to about 10,000 square feet, a new flagship
Wow.
store for them. So it's going to be phenomenal. They are moving down to Grand Court, right next to where Santa's at, taking up 3 of those former spaces, all being put into one. So lots of exciting stuff going on the construction front. As far as activities for the season, it's all about holiday right now. So I hope everybody was able to join us for our tree lighting event. It was our biggest ever. I mean, it was phenomenal. The parking lot was packed basically from Neiman all the way up to RH. We plussed up the show, thanks to Mason and the marketing team. I know. If you had the chance to get out there, it was definitely a phenomenal show. I brought my family out, and we all thoroughly enjoyed it. So glad to have that, all set up to kick off the season. We've got Christmas photos, which started on the 7th, and we'll be continuing on through Christmas Eve. And along with those Christmas photos, if you take a look at our website, there's too many dates for me to go through. Remember, we've got special events days. So there's days where you can bring your pet, or there's days where Santa speaks Spanish, or there's Santa George. So there's different events for the Santa photos. So it's not just the same Santa for every single day for people that want to come out and have a different experience. And all those dates are on. There's even a sensory Santa where we turn off all of the music, and Santa has a special suit, so it's not as tactile for individuals that don't do well with the overwhelming sensory experience that it normally is. So all of that's on our website for all those dates. And then every weekend we still have live music through the holidays. So again, just all holiday, all the time. We're very excited. That's pretty much all I have. The only other big thing, and I know Jenny's probably going to talk about this when she does her updates in just a minute, but probably the biggest thing for us is going to be the realignment of those driveways after we get out of holiday and we go into the Q1 as West kicks off the actual construction phase of stuff. So what I'm going to recommend to everybody on this call, if you have any friends that are coming down to the center and they're bringing a car, go to the East Garage. It's not that West won't be open, but the more cars we can push to that East Garage, I think the happier everyone's going to be. They're going to be doing some road realignments. It's probably going to be several months under construction. And it's going to be all of us will be in a much happier place if we try and fill up that East Garage first. So that's all I've got. Thanks, Lou.
Great, thank you. Well, it was a good segue over to Cherry Creek West. And Jenny is here to give us an update on Cherry Creek West.
Hey, everybody. So just an update. We had been hoping to start demolition in January, but as you know, we've taken asbestos out of some of the existing buildings, and the state comes in and inspects everything, and they are asking for another round of testing just with some of the remaining materials. So with that, our demolition is now scheduled for early March. So just pushing out a bit, but still looking forward to it and can't wait to get some shovels in the ground very soon.
Can you update us a little bit on the planning, now that we have the Vibrant Bond passing, and how that might impact your plans for development of the First and University intersection?
Sure. So I know that work is kind of out off of our property. So we will be paying for all the improvements around our site just through the private funding. But with Dottie, we did reach out to them again about that First and University pork chop and the free right turn there. And they said that with where we are in our permitting process, they want to have those conversations late January or February of next year. They want to get through some of the Clayton and Cherry Creek North Drive permitting type stuff before shifting over to that corner. So I did ask for that update because I know that's important to this group. So starting that in February, and then I expect that to take about 4 months just to have back and forth with Dottie and the engineers and what's going to happen there. So I don't know yet, if they're going to say stop sign versus a light there, or what exactly that what that will turn into versus the free right turn. But I look forward to engaging with Dottie starting in February on that.
Great, thank you. We'll look forward to more updates and delay. I'm sorry about that, Jenny, but
the state, I can't control it, but
I know,
yeah.
but
Thank you.
We appreciate the update, and just to remind everybody, we have another one of those robust development agreements with Jenny and team. So she'll continue to come and give us updates, and also I think their website has been updated. It's very good. So anybody who wants to take a look at that to stay up to date, that's a good place as well. I will acknowledge Mary sent some information about that Excel and project, and I think that was what Councilwoman just put in the chat as well. So we will be picking that up. I mean, I can't imagine how much it's going to impact this area when we're already looking at so much construction and so many road problems. So we'll try to get more on that and how it dovetails with all the rest of this. So hang in there for that. Okay, anybody have any questions for Jenny? Okay, we will move on to our guests from the city who are here to talk about the mini bundle of text amendments. And who will be running this? Will that be you, Fritz?
Yep.
Here, I'll make you a co-host so you can share screen if you'd like.
Okay, great. Hi, quick introduction. My name is Fritz Clausen, city planner here with Community Planning Development. We are working on a small package of text amendments to the zoning code, municipal code, and urban design standards and guidelines. And I have a short presentation about it to show you. And I brought some friends along with me in case you have any questions for afterward. I'm going to go ahead and share the presentation. We'll go from there. Okay. We're here to talk about the 2025 mini bundle, basically reusing the presentation that we gave earlier today at the planning board, and we'll embellish on that as needed. Our mini bundle covers 4 topic areas: Prop 123 and expedited affordable housing review changes, wireless telecom permitting changes, accessory dwelling unit permitting changes, and site development plan standards and regulation changes. So we'll go, that's the overview. It's a pretty quick timeline of a project. I'll talk about the schedule in a minute. Those are the overviews. And to talk about more specific changes in these, we have a project overview slide. In general, we're trying to align our regulations with its state mandates and incentive programs while incorporating procedural improvements to support good governance and further affordable housing goals. So again, we would be amending Denver zoning code, Chapter 59 municipal code, and the urban design standards and guidelines for Cherry Creek North/West and downtown. So first, Prop 123 expedited affordable housing review. A little bit of background here is that the city is putting together a new review process to meet state guidelines for expedited affordable housing review. Proposition 123 is a voter passed program to create an affordable housing fund. To be eligible for those monies, you have to have a process in which affordable housing projects get permitted within 90 days. Of course, anything can happen, but it's supposed to be a 90-day overall process. So we have colleagues on our development services side who are designing this program. We are trying to help them design that program by making a few targeted changes. First off is to coordinate approval dates for different types of applications, including zone lot amendments, so that the date of final decision is the official approval date rather than recordation, so that we don't have to wait around for that date of recordation to move forward in the permitting process. Secondly, I think probably the most interest to this group, we're updating our rules and regulations and urban design standards and guidelines so that projects that fall into the fast track affordable housing review program don't require a formal recommendation from the Cherry Creek and Downtown Design Advisory Boards. The urban design standards and guidelines in those areas still remain in place including for those projects, and they will be approved by staff. The difference is that the 90-day timeline that's required, requires moving forward pretty quickly on a number of elements. The meeting structure, the multiple reviews that are typical for your usual Cherry Creek North project don't exactly fit that time frame. We're looking at ways to still include the board and include the board's feedback and design review. And again, the design review will still be done by staff, but we are proposing that as part of changes to urban design standards and guidelines. Next, wireless telecommunications. We are adding, in order to comply with, to align our regulations with state telecom regulations, we are adding not physically substantial modifications to existing telecommunications facilities to the list of development types that don't need a zoning permit, provided we're notified in writing. When I say existing telecommunications facilities, I mean things like the top picture here, like antennas that you would find mounted to the roof of a building or sometimes to the side of a building, not 5G poles in the right of way. Those are totally administered by DOTI, not subject to our zoning code or design standards and guidelines. Anyway, what we're doing is that we're saying those don't need a permit because that is what state law says now. And we are also just making a cleanup to make sure that, because there's no permitting process for these kind of changes now, they're also not, they don't fall under urban design standards and guidelines where we have design advisory board review in Cherry Creek North/West and downtown. As just want to also note, when we say not physically substantial, we have a list of things currently in our zoning code that constitutes what is a physically substantial modification to an existing facility. So there are rules for that. So anything that does not fall under those rules of being substantial, which can include, increases in height, changes to concealment, if there's concealment around these things, big additional equipment, it would mostly apply to changing the types of antennas that get attached to these structures. Third, accessory dwelling units, continuing cleanup to align our regulations with state mandates, state requirements. One thing we're changing here, in order to help Denver Housing Authority, we are removing the occupancy requirements, or we're not having owner occupancy requirements for accessory dwelling units apply to the Denver Housing Authority, so that they can build them on their properties, rent them to people who need them at low cost. We need to do that for them because there is a current permitting requirement that when you get a permit for an accessory dwelling unit, the owner has to be the one living on site. Denver Housing Authority owns a bunch of properties. The authority itself can't really live in them, though. Additionally, we are doing cleanups to ADU regulations to ensure that plan unit developments, PUDs, allow accessory dwelling units if they also allow single unit dwellings, and that if they have prohibitions against accessory dwelling units, that we won't enforce those, and that also, where we do allow them, that they have context sensitive standards. Finally, site development plans, we would be extending the approval period to 30 months for all site development plans without an exception. Same for detailed PUD, well, similar for detailed PUD district plans. What that means is basically when a site development plan is approved, it's usually approved for 18 months, and there's a available 12-month extension that you get pretty much just by asking for it. We've decided we won't do the extension. Everybody gets 30 months to put your stuff in the ground. Yes, and similar for PUD district plans, although those would not have, we would be removing an expiration for those because they function more like zoning, but they also specify a certain physical layout like a site development plan. So right now we have just started our public review draft. We've made that available. I sent that to the link to that to the working group previously, and I'm happy to share that link again with this group here, where we've got a 30-day comment period. So that is through December 15th or so. You can take a look at the draft proposed changes on our website, and please give us any comments or questions you may have. Today, we went to planning board for an informational item just to tell them about what we're proposing to do. We're going back to planning board on December 17th for public hearing. And after that, we'll start the city council process with January 6th committee meeting and a February 17th city council public hearing. One thing to add to this is that we're also looking at a public meeting at the end of January 29th, for proposed changes to urban design standards and guidelines. There's a separate requirement to just hold a public meeting when we're proposing changes to those. Yeah, so at this point, happy to entertain any questions or comments you might have.
Where will that public meeting be, Fred?
It would be at the web building.
Okay, and open to all. So
Sure,
when
yeah.
you get information, if you could give that to me, I can share it with everyone.
I will pass it along to you.
Are there any questions? I don't see any hands up right now, but I will say a couple of things because I've gone through this once before with this team. And a couple of things about, I know that a lot of us were a little amazed that there was a thought that maybe something could get built that would otherwise have the purview of our beloved Cherry Creek North Design Advisory Board, and that exempting this out of that for true affordable housing projects would be shocking. And I will tell you that after talking to the city team, we're not talking about the kinds of projects that we have commitments from Cherry Creek West to put in a certain number of affordable housing units. We're not talking about Matt Joblin's modification to Clayton Lane, which will have some affordable housing units. Those are very different kinds of projects that include some affordable housing. What this applies to is a project that is a true affordable housing project. And let me know if that is not true. When it is probably a majority of affordable units, sometimes you can have mixed affordable units with new market tax credits requires, some commercial as well, but LIHTC, low income housing tax credit financed projects, Meredith knows about some of those. And so we're talking different kinds of projects than those that we see that are currently proposed or coming out of the ground in Cherry Creek North. And this would apply obviously only to those properties that are in the bid. So because the Design Advisory Board only covers the bid area and now Cherry Creek West. So right now there are no projects that are currently in the offing that would qualify for the type of affordable housing for which review would not be required. Correct?
I think you're correct on basically everything there. Yeah, the state statute, Prop 123, provides a sort of minimum requirement for what qualifies into the process, and it's 50% affordable or above at a certain set of.
I think it's 60
AMI,
AMI, right? 60 AMI.
60% AMI, yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, we have a different market here in Cherry Creek, and with the land costs the way they are, it's terrific if people actually build on site with some affordable housing. There are other ways to get around that a little bit, but we do have commitments from those terrific developers to actually put some affordable at as a rate where you're not going to see anybody who works in the service industry at the lower level. It is maybe somebody who is a teacher at Bromwell who could qualify for those kinds of. So we desperately need more housing for the good people come to work here. We have bad transit to get them here. We heard last time how hard it is for these terrific businesses to get people to come work here because it's hard to get here, it's hard to park here, it's expensive. And, hopefully we will see changes in our city that make that better for both the businesses and the workers for to support this part of the city. But you won't probably see that. Similarly, the PUDs that are in Cherry Creek East, there are a lot of PUDs. The 2 projects I did down there are PUDs. And they used to be so detailed that you had to actually identify which shrubs went where on your PUD site plan. I mean, it was very detailed. So the ADU, most of those projects, and Brooks knows because he's developed down there too. I mean, most of the PUDs were done before the 2010 zoning code overhaul, where all of those properties that were not otherwise already rezoned to a specific PUD were put into the GRH3, which is most of our residential properties in Cherry Creek North and East. Those old PUDs still exist. So if you look at the map of the code, you'll see that Cherry Creek East is littered with them. But there are also PUDs that are larger duplexes. So you have a large duplex that has an attached or detached garage that it exits most of the time onto the alley. Those are not properties where, frankly, you're going to see an ADU that would come into play because there's frankly not that much room on the property. I don't know if those, and maybe Fritz, you could answer this question, whether those properties could actually build over a garage, for example. It would have to fall within the normal setbacks and step backs and everything else, and the PUD height restrictions or whatever, right? So I'm thinking, is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, it sounds like there's another question though.
Well, I'm just saying that for this bundle, the things that would raise the eyebrows of the most of the people thinking about, well, how does that affect the Cherry Creek Steering Committee? Where it may affect people more is frankly Hilltop, some larger areas. I don't know if it would really affect Country Club, but those PUDs, at least in the Cherry Creek East area, are probably not going to be impacted. So there's the sort of legal review and how we present that out to everybody so they understand what's coming. And then there's the practical review, like the properties developing in Cherry Creek North bid and in Cherry Creek West are likely not going to be true affordable because the land is just so expensive. So just, I want to put that out there to folks. If you've got other questions about how these things get implemented, we're very thankful that the city has come to talk to us about this because frankly, there were some times where people really didn't communicate it, and then there were some surprises. So we really appreciate the presentation and then drilling down a little more to see how well it specifically says the Cherry Creek North Design Advisory Board, but probably not going to really be impacted here. So, Fritz, if I said anything correct, do you want to make any corrections on that?
I think that all sounds pretty much correct. That change to allow ADUs and PUDs would apply basically to single unit dwellings. So there are I think a fair amount of townhome style or larger duplex style in PUDs. It would not allow ADUs for those, not yet.
Okay.
So that right now it's just for single unit dwellings in PUDs.
And
Which
most of our
there are-
PUDs are probably multi-unit.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
so bottom line is there's a lot to unpack in this bundle. Probably not that's going to affect this group as much as maybe some other areas of the city.
Fair summary. I just want to say I will also be at the Design Advisory Board meeting tomorrow to talk to the board about what we're proposing.
Okay. And does anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you guys very much for being here again. We really appreciate it. It's good to be able to follow this and have real dialogue with our friends at the city. So thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. Take care.
You
Have a
too.
good day.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Okay, so I think then what I wanted to do a little bit since it's 5:47, I wanted this open discussion to really kind of drill down. First of all, I'd like to come back to the issue that I started with and just take a poll of the members about whether anybody would like to have a meeting in December or take December off and work on maybe goals for next year. Thoughts? Let's do thumbs up. Anybody want to take it off? Take it off, December off? Put your thumbs up. All right. The thumbs carry. Now I'd like to just go around maybe a little bit, the people on the committees, and maybe just go around the room a little bit, remind everybody who you are, who you represent, what your interest is. And then we've already heard from Lisa/Richard and from Mike and from Jenny, so we know those folks. But can we start with Tracy up at least in my upper left-hand corner?
Hi there, everyone. Tracy Winchester here. I am in Cherry Creek East. I am one of the 4 representatives with Brooks and Bill Allen, Bill Tanner, Bill Allen. And I think, are you asking Lou that to give something about what we would like to talk about for next year?
Yeah, just who you are, who you represent,
Oh.
what's working for you, what would you like to add to the list of steering committee issues? I mean, I think we have a lot of stuff that is in the funnel for us to deal with, but yeah, basically.
Right. Well, I think for us, I mean, I thought it was pretty interesting about what Councilwoman Sawyer was saying about with the Excel coming in with a huge project. That was news for me. And so I know that's going to have an impact with us making sure that we're able to have the landscaping take care of in the substation and anything that they rip up, moving forward. I think it's going to be important to make sure the few businesses that we have here in Cherry Creek East that are protected from all of that construction that's going on, because I think construction is probably it's needed, but it is so difficult to live with, and particularly for our businesses. And so I think if we can, whatever we do, we're trying to get improvements in the infrastructure that we can protect our businesses in our neighborhoods so that they can still remain successful and grow their business while construction is happening. That's it for me. Want me to send it over to Bill Tanner? Bill? You're on mute, Lou. You're on mute.
Okay, let me take myself off mute here. I think for next year, you've correctly identified the issue with the Excel building, which has been a problem for a long, long time, and they haven't been very responsive in the past to it. I'd love to see them put a tree or two in there. They're sort of landscaped it with rocks right now. And they at least have made the rocks 2 colors. So it's not just one boring spread, but they managed to cut down one large tree. And, it's still not a very appealing from a fit into a residential area type arrangement. I think the other thing we'll be looking at is development, which we talked about today, along the Cherry Creek Gateway sites. As that comes up, there are going to be some issues with it. I'm not sure what there will be at this time, but there always are. And so we need to know how to deal with that. I think We really haven't had any development in Cherry Creek East in the past year and a half or 2 years, which is really pretty amazing, given all that's going on in Cherry Creek North. But we may start to see some as Cherry Creek North starts to fill out. And we should have a strategy in terms of what we want to do and have everybody, in agreement on what that strategy should be. And that's really it. Those are my thoughts for the time being. Of course, the big Excel project is going to be a big issue. And we will want to make sure that we manage that as well as possible. That's really it from my perspective. Maybe Bill Allen or Brooks have a different perspective.
No, just the first thing is Bill, thank you for all the work we did on making that neighborhood agreement with the gateway. It's done. It's on the property and they acknowledge it. So I appreciate that. Number two, as you all look forward to the state legislature, I'd ask you to please keep an eye on something called transit-oriented development. And that is where a state comes in and says within a certain distance of transit, and they define transit as a BRT, rail, or anything with more than 2 bus lines on it, there is automatic approval for high density zoning. So let's keep an eye on that. We don't want that to happen here. In California, they have extended that distance from a 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile. So since Cherry Creek East and Cherry Creek North have abutments onto planned BRTs, it's something we should keep an eye on. So let's look forward to a state legislature and keep an eye out for transit-oriented development. Thank you, Lou.
Can I pick up on what Bill Allen just said? I think it's particularly important to know ahead of time where these BRT stops might be, because they're going to have a real impact on our neighborhood because they border us on 3 sides at least. And making sure that they're designed well, that they have a positive influence on the neighborhood and not a negative influence. So the gateways are extremely important, but those BRT stops are going to be very important too. You can see right now what's happening on Colfax with them. I mean, they're huge. We may be talking about a different scale, but at the same time, they have a direct impact on the properties immediately adjacent to them. And I think we really should be able to see what's coming, and not just in policy and written stuff, but I think we need graphics to show what's going to happen. And if anything, I've noticed in 50 years of practice in urban design and architecture that we see less and less upfront in terms of design, and less opportunity to engage as a community with design, with architects, with the design teams. I think David Triba's group was particularly good. I mean, they did a model all the way from Bayard up to First Avenue that we could relate to. And that's the kind of reaching out and engagement that we need. So it's just important to have a concept that people can relate to and to be able to follow up on it. And as you well know, Lou, the more concept you put out there, the more detail and information, and the more you engage with the community, the more they follow what you're going to do and make sure you do it. We've sort of seen a pattern of verbal and written, and not too much graphic and model and that sort of thing, so that they can kind of change things. We've seen in our neighborhood particularly losing the design standards Bill says, Bill Tanner said, there hasn't been any development. But right across the street from him, we have 6 new units that really don't fit into the context of the rest of the neighborhood. And I don't want to get off on a tangent about that, but I would like to see a return to an engagement and a design concept that is presented to neighborhoods so they know what to expect.
That's a really good point. I will try. I'm going to put down here. I would like planning. We used to have a planner attend some of these, and now we really don't. So we'll see if we can get the planning department to come and hear about that a little bit, and at least once, I don't know, maybe
Worth a try.
twice a year. Yeah, it's worth a try. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to jump over to Ron Milzer. And I really appreciate all the comments. And just so y'all know, we're still watching BRT on Colorado. It is not going well in terms of, I don't think they're finding easy solutions. And my guess is what they're learning from the problems in Colfax is that there's a long way and they're going to have to restart that discussion. But it's a great point. We need to keep our finger on that pulse. And normally Stuart Anderson is here with Transportation Solutions. He is ill today, so he's not with us, but he really has his thumb on the pulse of all things transit and TOD. So I've written it down. It will be in the mix. So Ron, I'll turn it over to you.
You just stole my thunder. I was going to suggest getting updates from Stuart. So, but yeah, I found his presentation last month fascinating, and I would love to see that updated as we go along in 26. That's really all I got.
Well, now that you said that, you may find yourself tapped for the TS board at some point. So, yeah, be careful what you say, Ron.
I was going to say I'll learn to shut up.
Well, Ron, I don't know. I mean, say a little bit about your role. You're fairly new on the committee. You're a little bit about your background, since we're not even at 6, so we have a little bit of time, and you bring a lot of good expertise and value.
Well, quickly, I'm a lawyer. I spent 19 years in private practice doing real estate development, representing real estate development clients and lenders, and spent 23 years at Richmond American Homes on the land committee, basically underwriting land transactions for the company. So that's what I did. So I'm kind of a land wonk, and pretty well versed in residential development. So that's my background.
We're so lucky to have him on the Cherry Creek North Board and on the zoning committee. And anyway, we're really lucky to have Ron with us. So thank you, Ron. Next on my screen is Gwen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I'm Gwen Smith Ehrlich, and I'm on the Chun board, Capitol Hill United Neighborhoods. And the biggest thing that's happened for us lately is the Secret Garden. I don't know how many of you know about the Secret Garden recently closed. There is an issue with City Spirit Development about running the kitchen and everything, but it's very sad because it was a wonderful place where people came. You walk in the park, you'd come to the restaurant, and it's so different than Cherry Creek because we are so used to being able to just walk down and, go to whatever restaurant, any kind we want. But it was really a unique situation there on the park. And they are trying to find a development company to take over management of it. But, it could be a daunting situation. It might not be till the first of the year. But that's the biggest thing going on. And I think it's so important because these days, neighborhood involvement and having a place where you can go, where you know your neighbors. I mean, yes, we have a lot of restaurants in Cherry Creek, but I could walk down there and I wouldn't know if you live next door to me or you live 5 blocks from me. So I think that having these kinds of developments and warm neighborhood places is really important. So whatever we can do to help it along would, I'm sure, be much appreciated.
Thanks, Gwen. We really appreciate you being here. I was very sad to see that go because I know several of us, Annette for sure, because she probably does it every day. That's our walk. We go down 7th Avenue around Cheeseman. You know, some of us have the little fob for the gardens because at this age, you got to stop somewhere and get a cup of coffee, go to the restroom, you know, look at some flowers and walk home. And it was a delightful little place. Great vibe. And I'm so sorry to see it go. But I hope you guys are able to resurrect it. And you live in Cherry Creek North, you know, get involved here, Gwen. You'd be, you know, such a great asset. So come to more stuff in North, and thank you for all you're doing. So with that, I'm going to go over to Alan because he's next on my screen. Alan Gass, our senior in terms of time spent working on all this stuff. Between Alan and Brooks, I'm not sure who's been here longer, or Bob. But Alan, take it away and tell us what you think. Unmute, Alan.
Okay, I'm Alan Gass. I'm a retired architect. I live south of Cherry Creek in the neighborhood, which officially is called Stokes Place, Greenbowers. The city accumulates our neighborhood into what they call Belcaro, a designation which includes the Polo Club and Bonnie Bray, as well as Belcaro. We are not Belcaro. We are north of Belcaro. It's my neighborhood. We have 3 representatives from south of the creek, which are Amy DeClose, who lives in my neighborhood, and Meredith Cabo, who lives in Cherry Creek Tower. We used to have 2, so we have a more significant representation on the steering committee now, which I applaud. Our neighborhood has been a problem in getting the houses sold when they come on the market. One house across the street from me, 621 South Harrison Lane, has just sold after having been on the market off and on for almost 4 years. And it's a nice house, but they also apparently had to put an addition on it in order to even market it for the second time. So I don't understand the situation, but it's a unique selling issue. There have been probably 2 or 3 other houses in the Stokes Place, Greenbowers neighborhood, or in my portion on South Harrison Lane, that have sold while that one has stood empty for that long.
Alan, could you talk about you put your house in, and I've been over to Alan's house. I haven't been in it, but when you had COVID, I dropped off chicken soup for you. And it's a beautiful, interesting house. And you put a historic designation on it.
I didn't do that. That was done, that was a group called Docomomo, which is an international organization devoted to the preservation of mid-20th century architecture. And it was Docomomo who approached me about putting a house on the landmark preservation listing. And I was skeptical about it, but they said they were going to do it. I said, okay, you do it. I've been through that episode, getting Temple Emmanuel on the National Register and putting it on the local landmark listing as a project. So they enlisted Historic Denver, and Historic Denver actually put together the application, and I gave them all the information. Needless to say, that was easy because I designed and had my house built in 1960, and we occupied it in 61. We're the only occupants. except for a short time when we were in New York City. But, um, so the house became a Denver landmark. We have actually 2 Denver landmarks in the Stokes Place, Green Bowers neighborhood. Bill Mucho's first house on South Mineral Way, owned by Ann Wattenberg, who's also an architect. She has renovated that house, and she was on the Landmark Commission actually, and got her house on the landmark listing too. So we have 2 Denver landmarks in our neighborhood.
Well, it's just such a joy always to see you, Alan, and talk to you and all of your achievements and recent, acknowledgments. And we're so lucky to have you. And drive by, take him some soup because you'll be able to see his gorgeous, interesting house. And congratulations for
You
getting
want to
it.
see it? You can ring the doorbell. I'll show it to you.
I wasn't going to when you had COVID,
Oh, no.
but now I will.
You did ring the doorbell though.
Okay. I guess I did. Anyway, Alan, thank you for being here, for hanging in with us. And I'm going to go next to you on my screen is.
I should make one comment.
Mhm.
Belcaro Shopping Center, where King Soopers is practically the only tenant there, King Soopers and Osaka Sushi, is intended for redevelopment as soon as King Soopers replacement is finished on Louisiana, where the State Highway Department used to be. And the developer was very effectively job-owned into proposing his development. As far as I know, Meredith may know something different, but as far as I know, the development, which will be a medium density development, will be according to the existing zoning.
Well, I don't know that that's exactly true. I do know that the developer who was looking at it has stepped out. That's what I have heard, and I have consulted with a lot of the really good folks over in the Belcaro and Polo Club neighborhood. They do not have an area plan like we do. We are lucky to have the people that did the area plan, and we've talked to them, a couple of us. I've talked to them about the need to do an area plan before another developer comes in, because then, the planning board and zoning, they hold up the area plan. What did the people in the city agree to as part of that plan? And if it meets with that plan, at least you know what to expect. What they were proposing was extremely dense, and of course the city was fairly interested in
well, because it's on Colorado Boulevard, that's
right.
a route for some kind of transit, whether it's BRT or anything else. It's still a major transit route potential for the city, along with Federal and Colfax and many others.
So we'll keep our eye on it, and I'll follow up with some of the people I worked with down in Belcaro to see if they really are going to go forward. Paul Cashman is not. He is not running again. Councilwoman Sawyer is not running again. So that requires leadership by Gwen. She has to leave. So we'll see you in January, Gwen. And again, if anybody has ideas, please just send them to me and we'll build next year so that it's really a value. We want this committee to provide value to all of our neighborhoods, to bring information that reaches all of the residents through you all. So, but thank you, Alan. I'm going to go over to Mary. It's 6:11, and Mary is the only one representing Hilltop today but she's here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm Mary Morissette. I'm an architect in Denver for over 30 years. I've been involved with the Cherry Creek area, first starting on the design review board. I can't even remember when it was, probably in the early late 1990s, and been involved since. So I'm always grateful to be part of this group And as Lou said, I represent Hilltop with Larry Donovan, who's been around forever. He's actually having some health issues, not too bad, but some back problems. So why he's not here. One of the things I wanted to say is I want to echo, I don't know if Brooks is still on here. I can't see. But
Yes.
I wanted to echo what he said because, I just feel like there is so much going on in our community with entities that are not required to talk to each other. They do community outreach, but there's just a lot that I think that we need to stay on top of and realize, Bill Allen's point that we have the opportunity to really keep our citizens informed and our communities and our neighborhoods informed. So I appreciate that, Brooks. But one thing I also wanted to offer is, Lou, early this year, I'm looking at my screen, that's why I'm not looking at this. It says in January, Brooks and Larry and I went to Choppers after a meeting. So I'm hoping we can meet in person more next year. That would probably be my number one ask. But what I had shared with them was we had a conversation about all of the issues, bigger issues that I've kind of been keeping a track of ever since Chris Dunn was president, I believe in 2019, of big items that we have, had some conversation about or input on, which sometimes seem to just, we don't really ever hear what the conclusion is because they were not communicating with the city, or they fall off, or they're resolved, or the many things. So what I would like to do is to send this to you, Lou, and see, if maybe over the next year, and I'm happy to help with this, is to kind of create a framework matrix of all the issues so that we can, just kind of say, yeah, nothing's going on with this, or, it's something that we need to keep track of. So that would kind of be my ask, I guess, for the next year, because I do feel like we are ripe for disruption in many, many ways without really our communities having true input and impact on these issues. So I feel pretty passionate about us being diligent about that.
Thank you. Yeah, send it to me and we'll take a look. I mean, I think you all know from our constant work, and many of you, Bob was one too, who showed up at planning board when we objected to the Cherry Creek West form of zoning because the actual zoning document did not reflect what the presentation had been. And frankly, but for the fact that we were working with a really good developer team, I'm not sure, I think they listened to us more than actually some of the planning board members did. The city had some people really receptive to working with us, and certainly Councilwoman Sawyer was. But it is sometimes difficult to find common ground with some of the planning board people who are appointed, not elected. So it's, they have different priorities, and it is, there have been several incidents where things have gone through where it's like, did they even read what we sent in? Did they even listen to us? It is difficult. It is more difficult than it used to be. And so getting Brad Buchanan, who is now head of the planning department, to come and talk to us about how we look over some of these issues on the planning side. How do we connect the dots? Anybody who is there on Saturday for the review of the First Avenue redevelopment, I mean, it is very clear that sometimes Parks doesn't talk to planning, doesn't talk to Dottie, doesn't talk to, and therein lie the huge holes where things can slip through and we don't get tight, good, solid project information or participation, and you lose opportunities. So I'm totally with you, Mary. I am happy to meet and go over some of this. And if there are worker bees in this group who are willing to take some of these issues and dog them. Rob said he's leaving, so he's going to let Bob represent Country Club. So thank you for being here, Rob. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm sorry, I'm on a hunting trip right now, so
Oh my God. Don't do a Dick Cheney kind of thing or whatever it was. Okay. Be
no,
careful out
we're
there.
all safe. Thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All
See you
right.
next year.
Bye. So let's do that and continue to think about how these issues bubble up and what that means for our community. So thank you, Mary. At 6:17, I'm going to go to Meredith.
Hi, I'm not officially on the committee, but I'm here all the time. And I live in what's called Miller's Park, which is named after what is now Carmiel Park. I live in the high rises, as Alan said. And I think one of the things that I've been trying to speak to Paul Cashman's office about, as well as other people, is Cherry Creek South Drive. Over 1,000 addresses are only serviced by Cherry Creek South Drive. And with the redevelopment of Cherry Creek West, and if you're going southbound on University, there's a very small gap between Cherry Creek North Drive and Cherry Creek South Drive. And anybody driving south, you at certain times, you see, first of all, the cars stacked towards First Avenue. And
beyond.
You're right. And though it's a requirement to make an eastbound left-hand turn at Cherry Creek North Drive, many people don't. So then you have a conflict area. And hopefully we'll be able to figure out something before the shopping center, Cherry Creek West goes in, because it won't be like, I'm shocked that this is an issue. And today I was driving home from the Museum of Nature and Science, and the traffic just on, from all over is just very hard. So I've been asking Doty to try to look at it. They haven't done any traffic counts. I'm happy to say that cars drive nice and, pretty slow most of the time, and they're pretty civilized. But I think they've just got to figure out how to protect, how we don't have something really bad that makes Cherry Creek West not successful, that impacts all these residences. And I do live on the trail, the Cherry Creek Trail, and always asking different organizations how we're going to deal with abandoned bikes and scooters and stuff. And the good news is, I guess, they're looking at some new technology. So the city person, Sam, was saying that hopefully they will be able to work with these vendors so that people can't just leave them in the middle of the sidewalk. That, certain places they have to park them in the corrals. So, and that will be a citywide thing. So that should be something really good, because I'm sure everybody's walking on the streets and on the paths, and you go up to a bus stop and there's an abandoned scooter, and somebody in a wheelchair can't get on the bus. I mean, this is just hopefully we'll be able to address that. So those are
Okay, I'm going to list that too.
the things we're thinking of.
Thank you very much. So we're 6:21. I'm going to go to Annette.
Hi, Annette Woodward. I've been in the neighborhood since 1984, so I have been on and off the steering committee several times. On the Cherry Creek North board for more years than I'd like to remember. was on the Chun board for a lot of years and its president for 3 of those years. And I guess what I have to say is, while maybe the specific issue is a little different, the problems remain the same within the neighborhood with parking and traffic and construction and density. And I don't envy the bid that has to manage all of that. But I think one of the biggest issues, at least for Cherry Creek North, is going to be how the problems in the bid are floating up into the neighborhood. And especially with new apartment buildings being built up on Second Avenue, those problems have just increased over time. So, and parking in the bid, because every time they put in a building, they take out a quarter of a block or a half a block of parking because they have valet parking for the restaurants and so on. So, you know how all things old are new again. I think that kind of embodies what we on this committee face all the time. So I think having that list that Mary made and is going to be really interesting for me to see how those issues.
She'll get it to me. We'll meet, we'll go over it, add, tweak, and get it out to the group.
Yeah.
Thanks, Annette. Bob, I'm going to go to Bob.
There, I'm unmuted. As Brooks and Mary mentioned, I've been an architect, licensed architect in Colorado since 1969, and did the conceptual work on the first 1975 master plan on the Cherry Creek neighborhood plan. And that gets you about nothing. But it's been a great experience. As Lou mentioned last Saturday, there was a meeting with the city and the neighbors on First Avenue, which affects our neighborhood considerably. And I think they were a little surprised by the amount of neighborhood engagement at that meeting. And they agreed to have another meeting in January and come to our board and express it. But it's kind of a dangerous precedent. Almost all of our neighborhoods have parkways, 7th Avenue, 6th Avenue, Spur Boulevard, Alameda. And this is just a bit of the continued erosion of our parks and recreation spaces by the city in terms of supporting additional development. And it's a dangerous path. And I think that there's more than just satisfying bicycles and finding common ground with multimodal transportation that's at risk within our urban fabric. So we tend to stay on top of this. And I hope that those of you that have parkways in your areas, your communities, your neighborhoods are also, following this. It may be a harbinger of future things to come. I don't know. The other thing that bothers me, and I didn't want to speak up at the time the city was presenting, but there's this recent tendency to bundle issues and give everybody a little piece of something in these issues in order to facilitate the city getting what they want. At the state level, you cannot have legislation that is multi-issue. You have to have similar issues clumped together. And I think that this is something we should probably ask the city about because it's a real, at all levels of government, they've discovered, aha, this is a new pony we can ride. And it seems to be a pretty effective one, but it doesn't always serve us well because there may very well be issues that we can't effectively, deal with if there are also competing interests that are, in favor of certain ports. So it's hard to get unanimity on an issue like this, on a multifaceted bill. But I think that it's something that we'll have to take up in the coming year. That's nothing for the immediate. But
it is a good point, Bob. And we have in the past been successful in having issues pulled from bundle and treated separately. So where those issues, and the big thing is you got to dive in, you got to look at them, you got to try to understand them. You got to understand how they impact your area because they're citywide ordinance changes for the most part. And you're right. You got to pull it out, figure out, okay, what's this piece? How does it impact my area? And then if it does, it is difficult, as you said, to address that specific one. So you got to go and see if council will pull it out. But we got to stay diligent on all of that.
Well, we could ask our council people to support some legislation that would unbundle some of these things so we could deal with them individually in depth and some level of sophistication, but makes it very hard the way they bundle them now.
Mhm.
But
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. We're almost out of time, and I want Linda to, who's the last one on my screen that needs to talk because we've heard from everyone else. And of course, she's our current president. So Linda, please take it
So
away.
I'm the speaker right before everybody goes to happy hour. Is that the
Hey,
deal?
I've already started.
Well, I'm going to just start off with some really good news. Our neighbors and our volunteers held a 2-weekend food bank drive for the food bank of the Rockies, and we did it very strategically on the patio of a small business called Show of Hands, who's right across from a huge construction project. So it's greatly impacted her business. So we had a great turnout. And Lisa, if you're still on, the Saturday Art Walk was beneficial to drive people there. So over the 2 weekends, we've collected over 1,600 pounds of food that we've delivered to the Food Bank of the Rockies. And people are still bringing food even today through the Show of Hands. So it's ongoing, even though we thought we were done going. So we're going to just keep our food bank boxes at her business. So that's a great opportunity to really thank, in partnership with the bid and their outreach with the communication and all of our social media and reaching out to Cherry Creek West and East. It was a great weekend. So that was good news. The thinking forward, and Annette highlighted this a little bit too. I think our biggest challenge is the confluence of the construction, the road impacts, the one-way streets, driving things into the neighborhood without any parking. So that's just going to be an ongoing project. And I know, Lisa, the bid's really trying to do a funky PR campaign to kind of ease that. But it's just going to be a challenge, and helping people calm their nerves and walk around and support the small businesses and yet celebrate the holiday. There's incredible things coming up. So we all have to kind of just smile and get through the season as things get more congested. That's all. We're excited. Looking forward to a new year.
Great. Thank you very much, Linda. And we're almost out of time. So I would still, first of all, thank you very much for all the hours and hours of input and advocacy that this group has done. I love the way that our neighborhoods and our businesses in the bid have this terrific symbiotic relationship where we understand the issues, we've tried to address them. Again, please take Councilwoman Sawyer's survey, identify what we can that we might be able to advocate for with the city. Our issues have been difficult, frankly, with the city to get the infrastructure investments that we need. There is a possibility that the bid could consider a parking district. We know from studies that a lot of the existing parking goes unused. How do we drive people to that? How do we unbundle some of those parking spaces from their current leaseholds, at least for times of day when we want to get residents in to make it easy to park and use the restaurants and shop the businesses. So, but that's for all of us, right? We all live here in part because of that, in part because of one another, because we have this great community that is greater than each individual member in their neighborhood. So with that, I thank you all so much. We will not have a meeting in December. I will send this meeting note around. I am thankful truly for all of you and your participation. So with that, I'll wish you all a happy holiday. Remember to send me any ideas and we'll go from there. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Lou, for facilitating all your
Thanks, Bob.
Yes,
Bye
thank
now.
you,
holidays.
Lou. Thank you so much for being such a good leader for us.
Thank you. Bye
It was
now.
great year, Lou. Thank you. Great leadership. I agree with everyone. You've been
Thank you
wonderful.
so much. All right. Take care, everyone.